The hunt failed. Again. It is the middle of winter. There is one piece of food left in the entire camp, and there are 30 of you. What happens in the next 60 seconds is the reason your species exists. Feel it for a moment. Your stomach stopped hurting days ago. And that is the bad sign, not the good one. The children have gone quiet, which is so much worse than crying. Then someone drags in a single scrawny hare, the first food anyone has seen in days, and every eye in that camp locks onto it at once. You are all starving. You have known each other your whole lives, and there is not remotely enough to go around. Every other animal alive has one answer to this exact moment. The strongest eats. The biggest, the fiercest, the one who can take it, takes it. That answer is simple. It is ancient, and it works. And you, cold, hollow, desperate, are about to do something else entirely, something so strange that almost nothing else on Earth does it, and it may be the single most important thing our species ever learned. 3 things about hunger that almost everyone has backwards. First, the person who actually caught the food was often the last to eat it, and sometimes got none of it at all. Second, sharing was not kindness or softness or being nice. It was a cold, calculated survival machine, and it beat raw strength every single time. And third, the one I genuinely can't answer. When there truly wasn't enough for everyone, somebody had to decide who ate and who went without. And the way we first made that choice might be the darkest thing you've inherited. So let's go back to that fire. Start with the hunter. You would assume the person who tracked and killed the animal owns it, that it's his prize, his family eats first. In forager groups studied closely in modern times, the hadza of Tanzania, the ache of Paraguay, that is almost exactly backwards. A large kill does not belong to the hunter. The moment it enters camp, it belongs to the group, divided by rules older than anyone living, and the hunter's own family frequently receives no bigger share than anyone else. He did the work. He does not own the result. And it goes further than that. For all the status we hand the hunter, the meat he dragged in was rarely the thing that actually kept the camp alive from one day to the next. Most of the calories, the roots, the nuts, the seeds, the small, dull, reliable food, came from gathering. Much of it gathered quietly, every single day, with none of the glory. The hunt was the gamble. The gathering was the paycheck. So the person the group celebrated most was often the least dependable provider in it. And there is a brutal reason the sharing rule exists at all. Hunting big game mostly fails. Even a great hunter can go out again and again and bring home a large animal only a handful of times in an entire month, and walk back with nothing on all the cold days in between. No single person, however skilled, can feed a family on their own luck alone. So the group ran a quiet piece of genius. If I hand you my rare success today, and you hand me yours next month, we flatten out the terror of the empty days in between. Every share is a deposit. The kill isn't generosity. It's a bank, but now push it to the edge. The exact moment the whole system was built to survive. What happens when everyone's deposits run dry at once? When the game vanishes, the stores are empty, and the entire band is starving together? Here the record turns very dark. At sites like Guff's Cave in England around 15,000 years ago and at some Neanderthal sites long before, researchers have found human bones marked in the same careful way butchered animal bones are marked. In the very last extremity, when there was truly nothing else, starving people sometimes consumed their own dead. It is the rarest, most desperate line our ancestors ever crossed. And the fact that it is so rare tells you how hard, almost always, they fought not to. Now here is the reversal, and it should change how you see your own kitchen. We treat sharing food as the soft part of being human, the optional, feel-good thing you do once you can afford it. That is exactly backwards. Sharing is not what we did when times were good. Sharing is the technology that carried us through the times that were bad. The band that hoarded, that let the strongest eat, starved out in the lean years. The band that split everything survived to have children. Children who inherited the very instinct to split everything. Generosity did not arrive after survival as a reward for it. Generosity was the survival strategy. It is the reason you are here at all. And already, Quietly, the harder question is forming underneath all of it. Because if the group decides how the food gets divided, then the group also decides who gets the smallest piece. And someone at some freezing fire had to be the very first to look at another hungry human being and say, "Not you. Not tonight." Now, be honest about what this actually was, because it was not sainthood. Anthropologists who lived alongside foraging peoples found that sharing was very often demanded, not freely offered. You shared because refusing brought shame and gossip and the real threat of being pushed out of the group entirely, which, alone on that landscape, meant death. It was generosity enforced at the point of a social knife. But strip even that away, and something genuinely radical still stands. Because the rule itself, that a hungry person sitting at your fire has a real claim on your food, whether you like it or not, is one of the oldest and strangest ideas our species has ever had. The motive behind it you can argue about all day. The rule we have kept for as long as we have been human, so come back to that single hare. And those 30 starving people. What ancient humans did was refuse to let the strongest simply take it. They divided it, carefully and by rules, because someone was always deciding whose need came first and whose could be made to wait. That decision, repeated at 10,000 frozen campfires, is the reason you have ever, even once, been handed a plate before you thought to ask for it. And who came first was never fixed. Some groups fed the smallest children before anyone else. Some saved the best of the food for the oldest, treating a lifetime of knowledge as the thing most worth protecting. Some laid their heaviest eating rules on women at the very moments their bodies needed the most. Different fires, different answers, but underneath every one of those answers was the same kind of act. To share food when there is not enough is to rank the people you love by whose hunger counts most. Scarcity did not only test whether you would share, it forced you to decide who mattered more. That is the quiet, terrible engine under all of it. The same instinct that splits the last meal 30 ways is the one that, in the worst hour, decides which of the 30 will be allowed to go without. We are the species that shares its last bite, and we are the species that decides whose bite it is. So tell me down in the comments, if the food ran out tonight, really ran out, and there was one plate left for the people you love, who eats first? And who do you make wait? Be honest. I read every single one. And if the question's hiding inside ordinary things, a shared meal, a full fridge you walk past without a second thought, are the kind that keep you up at night, then subscribe and stick around. Because the truth is, most of us have almost certainly never once been truly hungry a single day of our lives. And that might just be the strangest and the luckiest thing about us.